What's going on YouTube? Culturedog Sam Hatch back here with another pickups video. Seems like it's been a little while since I've done one of these that isn't Laserdisc related, so there may be a couple things that have slipped through the cracks, so many apologies if they have. I'll do my best to kind of throw them in later if need be. But over the past month or so I picked up a couple things, so we'll dig right in. Let's start with the music stuff, as usual. I don't think I had any vinyl pickups recently, but we'll start with some CD stuff. Again, I don't think I showed these. So I think these were the last two I needed, well, except for maybe a couple small things, but the last two major pieces missing from my James Bond CD collection. The remasters from EMI of my two least favorite, probably, Bond scores. The Marvin Hamlish, The Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah, had to get it just to get it. Yeah, the title track, pretty cool. Nobody Does Better is fantastic, but the disco score, I still can't hang with it, man. That movie would have been so much cooler had John Barry done the music. Likewise, Bill Conti's For Your Eyes Only. It's a shame that my favorite two Roger Moore films had my least favorite scores. Yeah, everybody pretty much that stepped in to do a Bond score that wasn't John Barry had big shoes to fill, and yeah, these two guys, I know they're big musicians, they're very, very successful individuals, but they just did not capture the feel, and they got mired in some real dated sounds, unfortunately. But this is, got some extended stuff, bonus tracks and everything on there. And again, love the Sheena Easton title track, killer stuff. But the score itself, it's one of my first Bond films I saw in the theater, so I still have a kind of nostalgic tie to it. But other than that, it's kind of a pile of pants. Also got a reissue I've been meaning to pick up for a while. Rhino put this out. It's actually 4 albums squeezed onto 2 discs. JoJo Gunn. Yeah, nobody remembers them, but it is Jay Ferguson and Mark Andes of the band Spirit. This was the band they slapped together in the early 70s before Jay Ferguson went solo and did things like Thunder Island, etc. But it's got their 4 albums, JoJo Gunn, Bite Down Hard, Jumpin' the Gun, and So Where's the Show? And it's cool stuff. It's good early 70s, foot stomping rock. It's a real surprise that none of these tracks made it onto the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, because they'd totally be, at home on there. But yeah, it's good. Real good, like crank up really loud in the car. A lot of good slide guitar solos and stuff on it. And yeah, cool. There's some weird stuff on there too. There's one song about what was it, the breakfast before you get your breakfast. Totally bizarre stuff, but it gets stuck in your head for a while. Also, it did a little bit of flea marketing, and it's funny. Sometimes I'll find all music that's interesting. Sometimes I'll find a little stash of Laserdiscs. Sometimes I'll find a bunch of $2 Blu-rays. But it's never consistent. It's never the same thing twice. So when I'm looking for CDs, I never find any. But I happen to find a couple of interesting things. And usually the CD tables, well, DVDs are pretty much all the same, too. You see the same 10 movies over and over again, and CDs you see the same country albums and the same John Cougar Mellencamp albums over and over and over again. But this one, I saw the Perez Sarah Band logo like peeking back at me. I'm like, oh, so what have we there? And for some reason I never owned this, and I'm a goofball for not, because it's awesome. Angelo Badalamenti's Blue Velvet score. Yes, killer stuff. Really nice release that came out in, what year did they release this sucker? Well, I mean, 86 was the 86 was the original film release, but yeah, great release, and it's got Mystery's Love by Julie Cruz on there. Yeah, very cool. And somebody obviously traded in some cool stuff because there was more David Lynch involved, and again, I did not have it for some reason. Some more Angelo Badalamenti goodness, Mulholland Drive, and man, super awesome. And I still wish they had turned that into a TV series. Would have been so great. Also, non-David Lynch related, I found this, which I must have known was out. There were a lot of soundtrack albums that were all just Foo Fighters songs, etc., inspired by the show. But this is the actual music from the X-Files with Mark Snow. And Chris Carter getting involved as well, doing the words in here. The cool booklet, and yeah. Very happy to have that. And just stopped by one of my local vinyl shops, and I didn't actually pick up any vinyl. They had a lot of old James Bond soundtracks on vinyl, and I thought about it, but I behaved. I picked up a couple new CDs that they had thrown in. They usually have them priced low because it's a vinyl shop, and they don't really care about CDs too much. But since I have all the other like old Atco pressings of his stuff, I figured I'd get this old issue of Peter Gabriel's first self-titled album, and of course it's got Salisbury Hill, but some of the, the weirder stuff like Humdrum and Moribund the Burgermeister. But yeah, some good stuff on there. So glad I picked that up. And this again, I used to listen to this all the time back in the 90s. I had a tape that we had taped from the radio station when we got the CD of this in there, and listened to it at work all the time. But I never did pick up the CD copy of Tom Waits' The Black Rider, which is a kind of re-recorded version of the music that was made for a stage play or performance piece involving William S. Burroughs as well. So over in Germany, I believe. And yeah, some good stuff on here. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a Faustian type tale. And I don't know if I showed this in the last one. I know I showed you my vinyl copy, but I did finally pick up the CD counterpart, John Carpenter's Lost Themes 2, which does have a bonus track called Real Zeno on there. And I've been jamming to this in the car quite a lot lately. Good stuff. And one of my all-time favorite bands, they're from Austria, and they never play the States, and they should be a lot more popular than they are. It's pretty much a band that if you took like Metallica from the Black Album era, mixed them with Typo Negative, and then just threw a bunch of H.P. Lovecraft books and old horror movies at them, this is what would come out of that, like cosmic stew. They're called The Vision Bleak, and I got their new tour EP, which you can only get originally on, at their shows in Europe. But then after the tour ended, they were going to start selling them themselves. So I can't really count on a lot of their stuff being released over here in the States, or if it is, you still have to get it on eBay or some small seller anyway. So I just bite the bullet and buy the stuff directly from the band or their record label Prophecy. And so yeah, I got this directly from the band. It's called The Kindred of the Sunset. Good stuff. They're called horror metal, and it's awesome. I mean, it still kicks butt, but then it's got a lot of the great horror music trappings, and it's just these two dudes, Schwadorf and Konstanz, and they do play live with other members in the band, but it's pretty awesome that these two guys have been tearing this up for a while. And they were actually cool enough to send me a little postcard for their upcoming release, The Unknown, that they signed as well. So that was awesome. So really looking forward to checking this out. It should be out in a couple weeks. And somehow this slipped by me initially, but their first album, The Death Ship Has a New Captain, which is, again, incredible. It's got references and songs about, the Night of the Living Dead, Nosferatu, or Dracula, Fritz Lang's Metropolis, John Carpenter's The Fog. There's a killer instrumental song called Elizabeth Dane that is just this really cool, creepy instrumental with the intro campfire story from John Houseman layered over it. Awesome stuff. But anyways, they released a 10-year anniversary version of it with a bunch of stuff that was on. I had the original special edition, which had a bunch of string versions, also known as the 1904 versions. But this also includes a bunch of demos and a live show from 2004. So, and a killer giant book form. But yeah, totally love these guys. Love their vibe and what it's all about. All hand numbered or hand signed. Yeah, it is hand numbered too. And I got number 53 out of 500. Really, really nice release, and absolutely looking forward to their new full length. And moving past CDs into movies, I stopped by Barnes & Noble on my way trekking across the state at one point. One of the few ones that still has movies in them. They kind of stripped down a lot of the Barnes & Nobles around here, but they had a sale, and I finally picked up Duncan Jones's Moon. So super psyched to actually own that on Blu-ray finally. And also another one I've been dying to get. It's always usually really, really expensive whenever I find it in a brick and mortar store. So I finally got this sucker for a reasonable price, but Jodorowsky's Dune. And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit too. I've been dying to get this sucker. I love documentaries about movies that either fail or just have a horrible story behind them or just never happen at all. So cool stuff. And I somehow never picked this up. So I saw the Steelbook in the used bin at my local Newberry Comics. So I got Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows. Pretty cool steelbook. Nothing really exciting on the inside, but figured I'd grab that. Also grabbed The Forest. Got it on sale locally, so I got to check this out still. And pretty cool, getting ready for Christmas early. Krampus, which was actually a lot of fun. I had a good time with this. Looking forward to seeing what Michael Dougherty does next, but this is cool. Trick or Treat is really cool, and fun stuff. And way behind the curve on this, but I finally pulled the trigger because my wife still hasn't seen this, and I'm trying to get her up to speed to get out and go see some newer Marvel product. But Age of Ultron, not in the red case actually. I got this in the blue case locally, so interesting. And speaking of Marvel stuff that you have to pick up, it's a law. Deadpool, and very cool. I'm still powering through the special features on this sucker, but had my parents over to watch it and they loved it, so good stuff. Likewise, my dad, shout outs to my dad, has been haranguing me for a long time to get this show, so I finally pulled the trigger and used a Best Buy coupon and got it for a decent price. But season 1 of Mr. Robot, and yeah, it's a lot like Fight Club in certain aspects, and in other aspects it's also a lot like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Social Network, V for Vendetta, etc., etc. Also reminds me a lot of Darren Aronofsky's Pi, so not just a Fight Club ripoff. It's very cool stuff, and yeah, compelling stuff. So I'm looking forward to powering through the final episodes. And for literature stuff, I did, I think I was remiss in not showing some of these in the last few episodes, but I did close out the run of Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with issue 4 and 5 and number 6. And last I saw, Freddie Williams II was selling some of the original art and prep sketch material and actual page art for this series. So if you want to actually own a piece of this, check out freddyart.com. So super psyched. I'll do a proper video about that series. Also, I mentioned before that I was going to try and dig up some of the newer Shadow comics that Howard Chaykin had done. And now I'm hearing, yeah, yay and nay stuff about it, but I'm going to wait till I get the missing 2 issues to finally power through this sucker. But Dynamite put it out maybe 2014, maybe 2013, but Midnight in Moscow. I found issue 1, and then I'm missing 2 and 3. I got to pick those up, but I got number 4 and number 5 and number 6. And I'm not really holding out that much hope that it's going to be as good or better than Blood and Judgment, but I forget how to get it. Just check it out. And while I was hitting that Barnes & Noble, I always trip through the clearance books just in case something cool is in there. And man, this thing must have been hanging around somewhere for many, many years. But, because this is probably what, like 2009 or something like that when this came out, or maybe even 2008. But it is a sweet hardcover that was probably, released to cash in on the film, the Zack Snyder film at the time. But Dave Gibbons, Chip Kidd, and Mike Ussel watching The Watchmen. Amazing behind-the-scenes book, obviously without any Alan Moore input, but amazing behind-the-scenes look at the creation of the Watchmen miniseries / graphic novel. Gorgeous book, so super psyched I got this thing for $7, so zang! Anyways, that should just about do it for the pickups. I'll be back with some more Blu-ray Spotlight reviews and all that stuff, and maybe even a Laserdisc Spotlight review. Anyways, thanks for hanging out here on the channel. I'll talk to you soon, and cheers, everybody. Peace.